Hi, I'm Wendy Cicchetti, astrologer, and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I will explain what is coming and what to watch out for. Let's start with this new moon in Virgo that's tomorrow. But first, I want to invite you to sign up for my free celestial update that I send out bi-monthly that will keep you informed of what's actually going on, and it'll, delivered right to your email. So go to twixtearthandsky.com, my website, and just below the videos that play is the sign up form. I will have all that information, below the video. Also, if you're interested in my Celestial Update subscription program, don't wait. I will be addressing sensitive topics that are censored everywhere else. And I'm having my next discussion on Zoom on the 29th, and there is so much going on and so much to cover. So many new revelations, plans, counter plans in the world, and I will be providing ways to navigate these energies. And so I'll have all the information on how to subscribe below. Now, a lot of you guys are used to me doing these videos with Sherry. Well, she was unavailable today. And so as a result, I'm doing it on my own. I miss her, and I'm sure you do too. So let's get started with this powerful new moon. Now, first of all, I want to pull up the sheet, the sheet of the moon. Hang on just a minute. Let me get it pulled up. There we go. And so I'm going to do some notations here to show you what's really going on and to make it more clear, okay? So down here, you will see is the moon, the new moon, the sun and moon in Virgo. So what I'm going to do then is point out what is impacting these energies. So I'm going to go from here up to here to Mars. Now, if you'll see that Mars is at exactly 4 degrees, 0 minutes of arc. And the sun and moon are together at 4 degrees, 3 minutes of arc, which is what they call in its exactitude, is almost exact. And this is powerful. Remember, I've talked to you about so many times about Mars and what it means. And, Mars is a trigger. Mars has to do with, anger and violence and, aggression and weapons and war and action. What will we find out from this? Mars is also in Gemini, which is about communication. So what will we be finding out through these communications? Now, Virgo is all about the truth, finding the facts, getting to the bottom of things. Isn't that interesting with all the things that have been going on? So very, very interesting. So it's not just about the moon. Now, the moon itself moves to a new sign every 2.5 days. So in 2.5 days, the moon is actually going to be in, in Libra. And so then the dynamics change. So this sets some things in motion that are very, very interesting. Now I want to show you another aspect that is very powerful. And that is this Venus here. Venus at 19 degrees Leo, okay, is square Uranus at 18 degrees Taurus. Uranus, and we've talked about this square before, is at 20 degrees of Saturn. So, no, excuse me, Saturn is at 20 degrees of Aquarius. So we have this square, Uranus, Saturn, and we have this square, Uranus, Venus in Leo, and then this opposition between Saturn and Venus. Now, this is really powerful. It's called the T-square, where we have two squares in an opposition. And it is a very challenging aspect. It's considered a hard aspect. And it has to do with leadership. Leo represents leadership. And we have Venus in Leo. And Saturn represents government, old government, and Aquarius, where Saturn is, represents new government. And then of course we have Uranus in Taurus, which is the wild card right now in the world. Uranus is the wild card. So you can expect, if Saturn represents government, that Leo energy represents leadership, and Uranus is quick and sudden changes. You know, we're going to be seeing leadership changes, not just in the United States, but around the world. And because Uranus is involved, that's like quick and sudden things happening that, you know, just kind of will blow our minds. So this could also represent several things that will be happening, not just one. Yes, leadership is involved, but so are governments. Uranus is in Taurus, which has to do with our food supplies and things like that. So you can expect the unexpected, all right? And this, like I say, has global implications, all right? Now, let's talk about Uranus, because Uranus, as you can see here, okay, is kind of the catalyst for everything going on. We talked about it in the last video and the one prior to that, that as of August 1st, we would have Mars conjunct Uranus, conjunct the North Node, and that would be setting in motion a whole lot of things on the planet, okay? One of the big things that we saw initially on the 8th of August was the FBI raid on the Trump residence, okay? And whether you're a fan of Trump or not, that isn't the situation. The main issue is that it was done illegally. And more things are coming out to expose the fact that things like that are being used prior to the midterms and prior to, you know, the elections coming up in another couple of years to try and destroy a political opponent. And so when you talk about stuff like that, you know, these things are not only illegal, they're very unethical. And it doesn't matter whether it's the Democrats doing it to the Republicans or Republicans in the past doing it to Democrats, it still is very corrupt. And so this issue with the FBI, and also initially Biden said he didn't know about it. Well, come to find out, Biden signed off on it. You know, there are just so many lies and so much stuff going on. But it's bringing a web of things out there that are going to be creating other issues. And so a whole lot of chaos is disrupting as a result of that. Now, Uranus also has to do with physical changes, earthquakes, eruptions, you know, bigger tides, and, you know, tsunamis, and all of those things. And these things have been set in motion. When exactly they'll happen, we just don't know. But we do know that they will be happening. So you want to be watching for that and preparing for things like that. The world must endure and move away from the old to be able to create the new. These things that are happening, this shaking of the world, creates instability. You know, people are afraid, you know, so, but remember, this is only for a period of time, the instability. We're going to be creating new things. But because of this instability, you know, this may create situations outside of your comfort zone. And so you need to be aware of that things are not going to be pleasant. And interestingly enough, September, October, and November will represent the biggest changes in the world and in governments that we've ever seen in our lifetime, and probably many, many years prior to our lifetimes. So follow your intuition about what you are being told. There will be so much hype, especially as leaderships change. People will be vying for power and control during the instability. We'll be in a world out of balance. So follow your intuition. Don't believe everything until you check it with your inner guidance. Remember what I told you about all of these things before. One of the most important things that we need to be thinking about is how we are being manipulated and how fear is being used to manipulate the world. Yesterday, interestingly enough, as I think part of the unfolding of truth, the FBI or the Facebook, Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, was on Joe Rogan and came out and said that the FBI, about 3 weeks prior to the election in 2020, contacted them, also Twitter and others, saying that watch out for any reporting or stories on the Hunter Biden laptop, because as far as they were concerned, it was probably Russian disinformation. And so that's why there was censorship in that regard. Like, of course, we know there was much more censorship than that, especially about the COVID, but that particularly relates to the Hunter Biden laptop, which I think is very interesting. So let's move on to how many planets are retrograde right now. We have Uranus that just went retrograde on the 25th, which brings it up to a total of 5 retrograde planets. And I've also mentioned before that when a planet goes retrograde, it concentrates the energies. It makes it more powerful. And as you can see, almost anybody who is connected at all is going to feel the building energies. Sometimes you just almost have a hard time catching your breath because there's so much happening and you're feeling so much, all the time. But retrogrades, and in that 5, there are 4 that are malefic planets. Now, a malefic planet are those that are creating the rock and roll, energies, the shake up and break up kinds of energies that we're experiencing. Saturn, right here. See that little retrograde sign? Pluto, retrograde. These are the malefics. Neptune, retrograde. And then we have Uranus here, retrograde. And then we have Jupiter, which is a benefic. Jupiter is helpful. Yay, we have one. And then on the 9th of September, Mercury goes retrograde, where we will have 6 retrogrades at the same time. Now that's pretty rare. It doesn't happen very often, but these are very, very powerful times. Now, this T-square right here in the green, those are all fixed signs. Taurus is a fixed sign, Aquarius, and also Leo. And fixed signs are about the will. The will of the people, the will of the government, the will of the leaders. That's what we're dealing with right now, and it's very polarizing. Now, if those were in mutable signs about the thinking, and people would be talking and there would be communications and people would be making compromises, but not with fixed energy. Fixed energy is about the will, okay? And typically when things are fixed like that, it needs to be the person's idea what they do. They can't be forced into making decisions. So anyway, those are interesting dynamics. And now let's move out of here. I hope this was helpful for you to be able to see what's going on right now. And let me click out of this, click into here. I'm trying, folks. I'm fairly new at this. let's see, let's go here and here we go, stop share. Got it. Okay. So now the next thing I want to talk to you about is, again, what Saturn and Uranus mean in terms that maybe I haven't discussed before. Saturn represents centralization. It's the old. It's obeying the rules. So basically centralized government, okay? Uranus represents decentralization, the new, and not obeying the rules. Now, these combined energies represent shocking events, evolutionary jumps away from what we have outgrown, fast out of the blue experiences with politics, earth changes, financial changes, stock market issues, and great surprises that we don't even see yet. Now, when I said September, October, November, we're going to see surprises and shakeups and breakups like we've never seen before. And a lot of it has to do with this Saturn-Uranus square. Now, this is the final and fourth square. Now they're within a couple of degrees of each other, but by October, they'll be exact. Okay, so powerful, powerful energies. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you about is the emergence of parallel societies. Okay, people are wanting to extract themselves out of the society as we know it. Okay, new situations they feel that they can trust. A parallel world is being created. People want independence and stability outside the present system, moving to local communities like local co-ops. Okay, people are pulling money out of the banks. They're not supporting big chain grocery stores or companies. They're pulling their children out of school. Many bazillions of people are not going to vote because they don't trust the system. There is no trust now for many millions of people in the rule of law. They just don't trust it anymore. 40% of commerce now in these smaller communities is done by barter. 60% of the children in the smaller communities are now homeschooled. You know, they see what's going on in our education system and they go, that's not for us, and pulling their kids out, which I personally agree with. If I had young children now, I would do exactly the same thing. Absolutely. People are wanting to grow their own food, bartering with other farmers, people growing their own food. You know, I have eggs if you'll give me your squash, that kind of thing. So local governments, local communities, and I am going to suggest to all of you that you start now. This is a precursor for what is to come. Start now familiarizing yourself with local communities, your local farmers, those who are homeschooling. Maybe you can do a barter and someone else can school your children and you provide other services within the community. This is the way of the future until everything gets reestablished. So we want to be able to keep things going in our lives. So you're going to have to start looking in new directions. These co-ops are great. We have them here in New Mexico. A lot of people are moving away from the bigger companies and buying things. So many people aren't trusting organic labels or non-GMO labels. They think they're bought and sold. So they're looking for organic farmers where they can get what they want. Now, another part of this has to do with what's called the Great Migration. And this started during the pandemic. One of the big issues associated with this was how badly California has handled all of it. There's been a mass migration of people out of California and also other major big cities, New York and New Jersey, places like that. People are moving. I've had many clients who have done this, sold everything, bought a trailer, and went and bought some land somewhere in the Midwest. A lot of people are moving to New Mexico, Arizona, and Florida has been huge, and other red states. And the reason they're moving to red states is because they don't have the restrictions that the blue states have. And so there's been a big shift in where the population is centering and growing. So in these new, smaller local communities, and I do think that it's a wise idea to stay out of the big cities if you can, because that's where the most problematic violence and issues will be. If you have the capability to move out of the big cities, then do it, okay? And so find in your local communities, your local farmers, your local workmen, find people who, are doing small jobs or even big jobs. If you need sheetrock or roofing or whatever it is, air conditioner repair, find your local people to do it. Stay away from the bigger businesses that are part of the transition in our wealth from the small people to the big ones. Figure out how to do it in a different way. Yes, some of these changes are going to be outside of our comfort zone, but we've got to do it anyway. It's coming, whether we like it or not. It's coming. So start looking at things in a different way and familiarizing yourself with what's going on in your particular community. Okay. I will close for now, but I'll be back in a couple of weeks for the full moon in Pisces. And hold on to your hats. We've still got a lot of rock and roll, and it's going to be stunning. If you want to study astrology with me, check out my basic astrology course. I'll have that in the links below. And also my astrological coaching right now is on special and only for a few more days. So if you're interested in working with me on a very personal level, I'd be happy to work with you. So let me know. Give it a try. It can be very life-changing. So big hugs to all of you, and see you next time. Thanks.